A palpable tension hangs heavy in the air. The Middle East, a region so often teetering on the brink, finds itself once more staring down the abyss of conflict. At the heart of this latest crisis lie two powerful nations, Israel and Iran. Their decades-long feud, a tangled web of animosity and mistrust, threatens to erupt into a conflagration that could engulf the entire region. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a diplomatic solution, a way out of this dangerous impasse. But the path to peace is fraught with obstacles, and the stakes have never been higher. The specter of war looms large, casting a long shadow over the Middle East and sending ripples of anxiety across the globe. The recent escalation in tensions is deeply concerning. Each side views the other with suspicion, their actions fueled by a toxic mix of fear and historical grievance. The possibility of miscalculation, of a seemingly insignificant event spiraling into a full-blown conflict, is a chilling reality. The assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran sent shockwaves through the region. Haniyeh, a powerful figure in the Palestinian militant group, was a sworn enemy of Israel. His death, attributed by many to Israeli intelligence, was a brazen act, a provocation that could not be ignored. Iran, Hamas's longtime patron, vowed swift and decisive retribution. The assassination was a direct attack, not only on Hamas but on Iran itself. The Islamic Republic, already deeply suspicious of Israel's motives, saw the killing as an act of war. The pressure to respond, to avenge Haniyeh's death and reassert Iranian strength, was immense. The world held its breath, bracing for the inevitable Iranian counterstrike. Many feared that a full-blown conflict was imminent, that the assassination of Haniyeh was the spark that would ignite a regional conflagration. But Iran, despite its fiery rhetoric, held back. In the aftermath of the assassination, Iran found itself at a crossroads. The eyes of the world were upon it, watching for its next move. The pressure to retaliate was enormous, driven by both internal politics and a desire to maintain its image as a regional power. But Iran, under its new leadership, seemed determined to chart a more cautious course. While vowing revenge for Haniyeh's death, Iranian officials also emphasized the need for restraint. A full-scale war with Israel, they knew, would be a catastrophe, with devastating consequences for all involved. Instead of launching an immediate counterstrike, Iran chose a more measured approach. It engaged in a flurry of diplomatic activity, rallying international condemnation for the assassination and working to de-escalate the situation. Iran's response, though calculated, was not a sign of weakness. Section 4. A glimmer of hope. The ceasefire negotiations. Amid the escalating tensions, a glimmer of hope emerged, the possibility of a ceasefire in the ongoing Gaza conflict. The conflict, which had already claimed countless lives, had further inflamed tensions between Israel and Iran. A ceasefire, if successful, could create the space needed for diplomacy to take hold. Iran, while not directly involved in the negotiations, signaled its support for a ceasefire. This was a significant development, as it suggested that Iran was willing to prioritize de-escalation over immediate retaliation for Haniyeh's death. The ceasefire talks, though fragile, offered a potential path out of the crisis. The international community, deeply concerned by the escalating tensions, threw its weight behind the ceasefire efforts. World leaders urged all sides to show restraint and to engage in dialogue. The stakes were simply too high for a wider conflict. Section 5. The world holds its breath. As the days turned into nights, the world watched and waited, hoping against hope that a diplomatic solution could be found. The situation remained perilous, a tinderbox waiting for a spark, but the ceasefire talks, however fragile, offered a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak landscape. The coming days, even hours, would be critical. The fate of the Middle East, and indeed the world, hung in the balance. Would diplomacy prevail, or would the region once again be plunged into the abyss of war? Only time would tell. The world held its breath. The future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: the stakes had never been higher.